Guys, it's Jacob from Stringbuzz here, stringbuzzworld.org being a music journalism site, links are in the description down below. And it's that time of the month again, and no, I don't mean anything to do with gender bleeding, but instead I mean the track of the month segment, which is, as you can tell by the title and thumbnail, and we go over the best, the worst, the decent in independent and just music you should or shouldn't listen to. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. So this month has been an incredibly strange period for music as a whole, in my opinion, and I'm not even talking about the Brits and the Grammys, because that's a whole other weird kettle of fish that I don't really want to dive into. I think we've had the best month for independent music since we started the site around 6 months ago, so yeah, that's a big highlight, but by far the worst mainstream music I've had the displeasure of hearing during that time too, and not because it's just plain bad in all assets or anything like that, but just boring and incredibly safe. It started out so strong and flurrying this month with some great tracks coming from new and exciting artists that are just emerging into that mainstream, but we hit a lull around the midway mark of the month in which we didn't get, or rather I didn't even give a rating higher than average for 2 whole weeks. That's no 6 out of 10s or above for at least 30 reviews, so it took 31 reviews for me to find a song which I could say was good and that I'd listen to it again. So we have some great tracks here, so I hope you enjoy this list anyway. Starting with my honourable mentions here, we have Live For by Baz, a really great cloudy rap track which continues his stellar form throughout the last year or so. It's a great single. I can't remember if it's off an album he's already released or is just about to release. He's got immense flow. It's really casual to him as well. He's just got sort of a natural delivery to himself. I can see him being huge over the next 2 or 3 years or so. So yeah, I definitely recommend that track. Then moving on, we have Cloud 9 by Jamiroquai. So this is 2 months in a row Jamiroquai have had a song on this track of the month list. Can't wait for the new album. This is more of sort of like vintage Jamiroquai type music. I know a lot of people thought it was a bit too simplistic for them because obviously Automaton was very exploratory and progressive, but this was just sort of like the fun sort of Jamiroquai stuff. It reminded me a ton of like You Give Me Something and Alright, those earlier tracks. Really fun disco type track with a decent vocal performance as well, and just such a funky bass line. So yeah, I recommend that one. Then we have Chained to the Rhythm by Katy Perry featuring Skip Marley, something I didn't expect to feature on this list, but I enjoyed it a lot. I know people are giving the lyrics a bit of a tearing and a dressing down, and a lot of people didn't like this direction she went in, but I really enjoyed it. I found it catchy, I found it fun. I really enjoy the chorus. The chorus is really funky, and just I love this sort of disco vibe she's going with as well. It seems to have been the month where people are trying to go like down a disco route, which I'm approving of, because obviously, judging by my honourable mentions, it's working for some people. I didn't really like the feature by Skip Marley though, so yeah, it's a bit of a... It deserved to be on this list. It deserved to be at least an honourable mention, but it could have been better, which is a bit frustrating to me. Then we have Cool Your Heart by Dirty Projectors featuring Dawn. Now, this is a song I only gave like a 6 out of 10 because I just felt it was too much. It was just all in your face. But on the re-listen, I've re-listened to it about 10 times now, and it's just such an astonishingly well put together track. They're so progressive and experimental at the moment, trying to use different timbres and different techniques of producing and writing music, that it's just such an exciting period for this group. And I think Dawn works spectacularly well with her vocals sort of cutting across homophonically with the male vocalist, I can't remember his name, from Dirty Projectors. Really great vocal performances. The song form is wild and vivid and just really good fun, actually. I just enjoyed the track a lot now, and I wish I gave it a higher rating on the first review. Then moving on, we have Where's the Revolution by Depeche Mode. This is another one which is sort of being torn apart by many other independent critics, but I love this song. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. It was very narrowly pipped to the point of track of the month by the person we'll name later. Again, this song is quite experimental, progressive. They tried to use lots of different sort of electronic timbres and tones in here. It had this sort of vintage style of Depeche Mode in it as well, but I think this was a bit more exploratory than their earlier work. And I just really enjoyed the track. It didn't feel like it was pandering or phoning it in just to get in on the political trend we have at the moment, but instead it actually had a little bit of heart to it. And I thought it was an interesting track. And then moving on, we have Feed the Machine by Nickelback. So yes, Nickelback are on the track of the month list in the honourable mentions, and deservedly so. They're going down this sort of genty, progressive, hard rock, stonery rock sort of mould at the moment. They're going down this new route, and it suits them really well. I think Chad's always had this very powerful and grainy voice. So you don't have to don't have to listen to me to tell that to you. You already know that, and it's just a really well put together song. Again, I love the riffs. The riffs are great, perhaps overused, but I did enjoy the riffs. The vocal melodies are strong. The lyrics are a bit iffy, but just a much improved performance by them. And if they write this upcoming album, if it's all along these lines, I'm going to really enjoy it. I have a feeling I'm going to really enjoy it, and it might sort of take the blame off of them, which they've been getting for a little while now, that people have sort of been unfairly scrutinising them. They're basically the Metallica of rock music, so yeah, I think this is a step in the right direction for the group. And then the final track in this honourable mentions is an independent track, and that's Missing Moment by Sam Wilson featuring Sive, I think it's pronounced. This song's only got about 150 views on YouTube, but it's an unbelievable track. It's progressive, experimental, like I've already mentioned with other tracks, but it's got this sort of ambient style to it, very slow building. It's about 7 minutes long, so it's a slow building ambient track that concentrates on particular themes and just fleshing out concepts, big harmonies, big sort of sound wall full of different layers, really interesting texture, expertly produced for an independent track. This was really professionally done, and just a really solid track that I really enjoyed listening to, and it's just gotten better and better on the re-listen. But our track of the month has to go to Silence Speaks by While She Sleeps featuring Ollie Sykes. If you had told me that February, my favourite tracks of this month would be Katy Perry, Depeche Mode, Nickelback and While She Sleeps featuring Ollie Sykes, I would have probably laughed at you, but that proves how wacky this month has been. This is a great track. I've never liked metalcore, but this is a well put together track. Ollie Sykes has sounded the best he's ever sounded on a track. I've never liked Bring Me the Horizon, if you can already guess. So it's the best he's sounded on a track I've heard in a long time. He sounds powerful, raw, and he impacted a lot without holding too much runtime in the song. So yeah, it was a really good collaboration for them both. While She Sleeps puts in a great performance all around. The drums are fantastic, especially in the transitions. There's a breakdown, an instrumental section, just a regular instrumental section, as well as a solo section as well. So great guitar work with some great riffs. The harsh vocals from the vocalist, I can't remember his name, sound great, and the growls sound great. The melodies are fun in the chorus. The hook is exciting. This song is just it sort of blew me away again. It's the song form that really helped it, though. I think it being more varied and exploratory just added more to your typical metalcore track. So you usually expect just sort of like a glorified metallic nursery rhyme, but this is much more well put together, and I'm really looking forward to their new album, which is coming out next month, I think it is, because they've had 3 singles or 4 singles come out from it, and the lowest rating one got was like 6.5 out of 10, but the other 2 or 3 are 7s, 8s, 9s out of 10. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this upcoming album. Moving on to the worst songs, we're going to start with the honourable mentions again, and we'll start with Twilight by Nari and Milani featuring Tava. This is literally 4 bars of music repeated about 8 times, and I'm not even saying like it's predictable or safe. It's just literally not a complete song. It's just an idea that has been released by Spinning Records without any sort of filtering or vetting at all. This shouldn't have been released at all. It's not a complete song. Tava has like 3 words in the song, just repeated over and over. There are no dynamics changes, nothing changes, everything just repeats. It's just dull. It's strange. It's like Ibiza elevated background music. What's the point of it? It's such a strange track that I didn't even give it a rating out of 10 because I didn't know it was a complete song. And then moving on, we have Every Day by Ariana Grande featuring Future. Not the first time Future will be featuring on this list. Yeah, he's tagged on again to another random pop track where he just does his auto-tune crooning shtick and it doesn't work. Funnily enough, Ariana Grande was coming off great form over her last 3 tracks or so coming into this song, and her performance is dire. The lyrics are terrible. The song is forgettable. Actually, as I'm talking about it now, I can only remember what I said in my review. I can barely remember the tune of the track, and she really misfired with this one. She had a chance to really elevate herself. I mean, if she really wants to go down this Mariah Carey route, and she is obviously being compared to her a lot, she has to be much more consistent than just falling back to these old nonsense roots which she started to do when she decided she was going to be mature and adulty now. So yeah, this song is a difficult listen. Then we have Power, or Powa, by Mia, an artist which everybody began to grow fond of. I was quite excited for this song as well because she's quite experimental and progressive in her approach to making rap music, but this song is just abrasive and unlistenable. It's just harsh and nasty. She forgot the whole part of actually making a song and put that secondary to just being exploratory. I think she really needed to at least have something catchy or memorable there, or something which people are going to actually enjoy, because this is just a grouping of noises that don't go together either, so there's no texture there. It's just this horrible sample and then her just shouting over it out of tune, and I don't really know what she was going for here. Moving on, we then have Cold by Maroon 5 featuring Future again. So yeah, this is the second time Future is on this list, and I'm going to even talk about him because he just does the same thing on this track. And again, Maroon 5 are just the Adam Levine project to this point. It's just a one-word hook for this song, exactly like his last few songs. It's overtly electronic. It's just safe, predictable, bland, plain, and Maroon 5 is just literally a showcase of Adam Levine's falsetto at this point. It's just, how high can I sing on this song? How high can I sing on this song? How high can I sing on this song? And yeah, that's what he tried to do here again, and I'm bored of it, and I think a lot of people are getting bored of this approach now. Then moving on to Linkin Park featuring Ciara and their latest track together, Heavy. Yeah, this song wasn't liked by many people, funnily enough. And it's like the fourth time Linkin Park now have said, we're going to change up our sound for this upcoming album. We want to do something different. And each time they've done that, they've got progressively a little bit worse. I'm not asking them to go back to their new metal roots, but I'd prefer them to do that, because at least it's catchy than this tripe they released. It's trying to be sort of like R&B, soul-y, urban-y, and it's a terrible collaboration. Ciara's coming off terrible form from last year, and I just don't know what they were thinking with this song. Chester doesn't suit this type of approach to music because his clean voice is fine for the sections it's used next to his harsh voice, but his harsh voice is the selling point of Linkin Park, and now they've just got no soul, they've got no individuality, and they could just be put in a bargain bucket with the rest of the comebacks which we've had over the last year or so. And yes, I'm including the likes of Good Charlotte here, maybe even Sum 41, Blink-182, maybe even Green Day. So yeah, I think these groups need to buck up their returns to form, because it's not really working for me. Then moving on, we have It Ain't Me by Kygo featuring Selena Gomez. Just another track about Justin Bieber. Just another track about how they're broken up. They broke up about 5 years ago now. Still talking about each other in music. It's a really rushed electronic track with just a verse and a chorus, and it's got no meaning to it really. It's just dull and boring and predictable again. Then we have My Monster by Blondie, a track which I was ripped apart for not liking by many fans who said I didn't like real music because I didn't like Blondie. Moving on to the final track in this honourable mentions, we have God, Your Mama and Me by Florida Georgia Line featuring the Backstreet Boys. Yes, the Backstreet Boys have had a comeback as well, and just like Linkin Park, it's not working for the lads. I mean, this song is like Christian country pop, so it's not even my thing anyway, and Florida Georgia Line just keep releasing this sort of R&B country music now, and it's just ugly to listen to. They've inspired a trend in country music which is nearly tearing the genre apart now. This pop country scene is just disastrous, and this song is boring, forgettable, it's cringy, very cringy. Backstreet Boys' vocal performances are all really bad and really outdated, and yeah, don't recommend that one. Moving on to the worst song though, and the worst song has to be Ciao Adios by Anne-Marie. Now, Anne-Marie is from Somerset, here in the southwest of the UK, and they all sort of talk like a little bit like farmers, a little bit like that down there, and her parents are from London, I believe, yet she's convinced she has this West Indies accent, so she puts it on every single time she can, and here it's never been so offensively bad. It even makes Iggy Azalea's American accent seem realistic. So yeah, it's offensively bad. She's trying to jump on this dancehall reggae trend yet again, and yet again it doesn't work. It's insincere, the song form is terrible, the vocal melodies are terrible, the lyrics are cringe-inducingly bad, and I just couldn't stand this song at all, so I gave it a 1 out of 10, and yeah, nobody even fought me on that. Everyone was like, yeah, this is almost disgusting appropriation of culture, and I hate using that because that's a bit of a cringy way of saying things, but it kind of is. And if you want to know what I think about accents in music, then check out the video I made on it. Yeah, so a little plug there as well. Moving on to the other awards, which we usually do here on the site and in this segment, I'm going to start with the honourable mentions for Independent Track of the Month. The first being Nighthawk by Ever, just an ambient track with great instrumentals, really well produced, a very professional vocal performance, really excited for this artist in the future. A lot like Sam Wilson, as we mentioned earlier, just a really good performance all round and really professional production for an independent track. And then we've got Burn Your Bridges by Tailblock, which is the title single from their EP, which we're going to talk about in a little minute. Yeah, a really sort of like Moose Bloody type track with a really long intro that sort of really pulls you in, and a great vocal performance. incredibly well produced, way too well produced for an independent band. This group should be signed and big and being pushed out into everyone's faces right now. But yeah, it's like a post-hardcore sort of pop-punky type track with a little bit more to it, a little bit like that Moose Bloody type substance to it, a bit like Basement. Just a really, really good song, really solid song in every aspect, and there was nothing I could really fault with it. You know, it just was, and perhaps wasn't as catchy as many other songs we were submitted, but it was just a really good listen. But our independent track of the month has to go to Missing Moment by Sam Wilfan featuring Sive. I've already mentioned it before. Just a really, really solid track, and this guy needs to get signed up like immediately, or at least for some more people to take notice of him. So I definitely implore you to send some love over to this track, because it's just so unbelievably professional. I mean, this guy should be snapped up right now, because if he's producing, recording, releasing, writing music like this at his age, without the sort of economic background which you'd have from any other artist, that economic stability, then imagine what he could do with some, you know, heavy duty artists. And I think Sive does a great job on this track as well. Her vocal performance is very strong, and I just like the simplicity of this track. It was really easy to sink into, despite it being like 7 minutes long. It never dragged or anything like that. So yeah, I definitely recommend this song. There we have it. We have the track of the month segment, and gosh, that was a long one, because we had many bad tracks, but the good ones were good enough to hold this month up, and I think we got a fair share of really fantastic music throughout this month, and I think the independent scene was really bringing the bacon home for me. So yeah, if you like this video, then please leave a like, comment the tracks you enjoyed or hated throughout this month in the comment section down below, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you around next time. Bye bye.